Alrighty, everyone. It is going to be directly after the new year when this airs. That is to say, today is January 2nd, and it is a brave new year. Um, Brave New World. That's an entirely different thing. Um, no bottle babies here that I know of. Um, I don't know everything that Christopher Robin has written, but we will get into that momentarily. So welcome to this week's episode of the Designer's Den. I have on a very special guest today, Christopher Robin Negelein, who has managed to scoot about 5 inches to the left since I left him 30 seconds ago. There you go, back in the frame. Um, and today we're going to talk a little bit about, well, cool new product that he's put out that addresses some of those issues that we have with how do people know one another when they've started this adventuring thing? Because that really sets the tone for an adventure sometimes. As well as some of his really cool work with my good friends over at Alligator Alley Entertainment, he's been working with for quite some time, and a variety of other things because Christopher Robin's been doing this for a little while, right? Christopher Robin, you want to introduce yourself and tell everyone, I don't know, what you do, how you got into this? Just a brief life story. Brief.
Brief life story. All right. So, yeah, well, I mean, as far as getting into gaming, it's pretty brief. I was at a Boy Scout camp once. Somebody was talking about flaming swords and orcs, and I was in. And I mean, like day two, it was like, look, I've got my own map. And someone was like, that's not how you do a map. I'm like, it's caves. There's caves. There's tunnels. And it's like, oh no. And he made like a dungeon where all the walls were interconnected with you. You know, a classic dungeon.
Oh yeah, maze.
But yeah, more of like a maze, sort of thing. And then just never stopped. Never
You
stopped
know, I
gaming.
I don't think I got into D&D at Boy Scout camp has been taken yet on the bingo card. So that's a new
Oh,
one.
really?
Yeah. Uh which is actually surprising because I've got a fair amount of people who've been on the show who have been Boy Scouts, but Boy Scout camp was none of their origin story. So, all right, that's a new one. But yeah, so you've been doing this for a little while. I imagine Boy Scouts was in your youth.
Yes, it was. We didn't even have dice. We tore up little pieces of paper with numbers on them and then put them in envelopes. And there was our D20 and then our D12 and our
Oh,
D.
you made chits.
We made shits. Yes.
Oh, we're going really old school. Um, that is super exciting. Yeah, so as I mentioned, we are going to start today with a little product that you sent to me recently called Group Features, subtitled Bespoke Themes for Your Party. Do you mind explaining a little bit like what this is and why you decided that this is a product that was kind of missing?
Well, especially in the later years of 5e, one of the things Wizards of the Coast has been pushing is kind of like there is a genre to go with the setting. Eberron is, kind of pulpy slash noir. What else did we have? I mean, we've got, of course, Strixhaven that just came out. And the thing that kind of tripped the trigger for me was they're like, hey, we're going to offer a new feature or subclass feature where even if you're not a wizard, you have a reason to go to school.
Right.
And I'm like, go on. That's it? No, we need to do something more. Of course, I don't have the inside scoop from Wizards of the Coast, so I kind of went on my own track of producing something. Kind of way I was thinking of it as like a feat sort of thing, but I had some wise advice from my guys over at Alligator Alley Entertainment. They said, no, make it a feature. That way you
Yeah.
don't have to go through the whole thing of like how it interacts with feats, and you don't have to over explain that, oh, if you have no feats in your game, this is the one special feat you can have, move on. And I was like, yeah, you're right. That saves a lot by calling it a feature instead. So they are a set of bonuses, maybe equipment or things that everybody in the group gets. So now are they all directly piling on each other for like, overshadowing a class? No, I specifically tried to avoid that sort of thing. Perfect example is maybe you're freedom fighters. Well, then one of the shticks you do is you can make and break codes.
All
Oh,
right.
and then that
I've
spun
I've got up the first page with group features and the boat crew on it if you wanna.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, things where, essentially if there was somebody, even if there was somebody with that had a class that was perfect with the theme, it means that the show can still go on if you split that party and the rogue is somewhere else for an espionage. Boats, it's a little more useful in that, everybody can get something and nobody has anything but for shadows. But I have like musician band. I have like 13 things. I've lost track. Being guards in a merchant caravan or being in a merchant caravan. Some people can do assessments. Some people can, not be surprised because they're always making sure they're guarding they're being the proper bodyguard, that sort of thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
something that helps bond people. When with these bonuses, you can go, you know what, we've got some things covered. So now you don't have to like over tweak your build or sacrifice your character build to fit in.
Right. And I think that's pretty cool. So you can, I know we've all probably ran into the all right, everyone, we're attempting some subterfuge to get into this party we're not supposed to be at. So we're all going to pretend that we're a theater troupe. And the barbarian goes, "Oh,
Exactly.
okay. I'm the one who breaks things in half. There's one of those in a theater troupe, right?" And you're like, "Ooh, I told them we were jugglers and singers." Uh, and so, yeah, so it'd be really nice to have a feature there where they're like, "Yep, this is our cover story, this is our backstory. We're all a theater troupe. We've done a few lessons, to get our cover story down, and that gives us all this proficiency bonus to charisma performance. We've also got a wagon full of costumes, and that's great. Um, so now the barbarian's like, okay, that's cool. We practiced this cover story. I've got it. I'm gonna go on. I got my costume, and I'm gonna be the announcer, the MC. And now the whole party's prepared to be a theater troupe, and I like that, because yeah, there are definitely times when having that shared backstory, that shared history, that shared skill, comes in handy, especially when it's like a really niche thing. So, when you go to your grandma's house, how'd you meet all your new friends? One of your friends goes to butt in. We were robbing. No, shush. We were not robbing graves.
Exactly. And yeah, I also think it helps kind of smooth out session zero
Mm-hmm.
a little bit because everybody can say, you know what, let's be private investigators. Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, we've got a list to
Or
choose from now. That's helpful
exactly.
for the indecisive, the analysis paralysis. So yeah, and it's not terribly long, so 7 pages, but it is seven, jam-packed pages full of information. One of them being the OGL. So if you really, really love that, you can read that on page 7. Um, yeah, very important, page 7. But get you a lot of good information in a very short amount of time, and you can grab it, you can throw it out on the table, and just be like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. Everybody pick one. Or if you want to be even lazier than that, you can count up how many there are, which I did, and then promptly forgot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
13, I think.
13. I think I don't have a D. I don't have a D13. Why would you do this to me? 1, 2, 3, 4,
Because
5.
a good GM always curates everything. So I'm sure there's at least one thing he or she, I'm sorry, doesn't want.
Yeah.
So they may go down to a D8 or a D10. You know what? I don't like those three. There you go.
See? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can always just still roll your D20 and be like, if you get 14 through 20, roll it again.
This is true too, 100%.
Or if you get 14 through 20, I'm choosing for you. Haha. But yeah, so obviously you saw a need here, a potential opportunity, and so you kind of dove in and created a very useful little supplement, especially for, like you said, DMs who are prepping a campaign in a hurry, players who we really wish we could have had a proper session 0. But, I can meet on Tuesday, I can meet on Wednesdays, I can only do Mondays. We all know how that goes.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, so that's your latest and greatest, which everyone can pick up over on the DM's Guild.
Thank
This
you.
is your third DM's
Yes, it
Guild
is.
product. You've also got a little race option there, the Rodaire, which is a miniature
Oh,
giant
you
space hamster. No.
what? Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
They're giant rodents, people that are like
It's
7 feet tall
yeah, it is 7 foot tall mouse, hamster, gerbil, whatever. I mean, you can kind of
with a kilt.
yeah, take it or leave it however you want there. Um and then you have to kind of go along with that 4-hour adventure for Eberron, which is a setting that I know is much loved by you. I love that noir kind of pulpy thing. We discussed that a bit. Our love for Eberron, and how nice Keith Baker is, letting everyone create this cool Eberron stuff. Um, but
I should make some more.
I know, right? Both should. Aside from that, speaking of really cool settings and people letting us work on stuff, you are working on a very cool project, which recently, yep, raise it up there, which recently wrapped Kickstarter in December. Um, and the backer kit should still be open January when we're getting to this for pre-orders. If you missed the Kickstarter, which if you missed the Kickstarter, I can't believe it. I don't understand.
I don't either.
But it is the spiritual successor to Expedition to the Barrier Peaks.
And even cooler than that.
Yeah, even cooler than that. All right. Do you want to say what it is?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm honored to do so. So, as you know, spoiler for like a module that is probably older than
I don't.
everybody's kids at this point.
Spoiler alert for Barrier Peaks, everyone.
Yeah, exactly. You are you're in a dungeon, and then you find really weird loot, really weird monsters, and it's the players, not really the characters, because it was kind of a different philosophy back then how you played D&D. You figure out your characters are in a buried starship, and they had even gotten to the point where they had done visual aids for all the different high-tech equipment and made them all look really weird so that players couldn't guess what their function was. And they even had like drew pictures later that the GM could see to go, oh, okay, so that is supposed to be a laser gun with a really weird, targeting
Yeah.
screen, not a scope, a screen sort of thing. Oh, okay. So then, all fun could be had. And this was also before Gamma World. So that I'm sure kind of all of that kind of fed into each other down the pipeline.
We started
Um,
getting a little sci-fi in our fantasy.
oh yeah. For everybody who goes, I don't like science fiction in my fantasy. I'm like, sorry, buddy, it's been there already. And, you don't have to like it. That's
this
fine. I
this
don't
is an
judge you, but
excellent peanut butter cup. How could you not love it? Just a little bit of
and
peanut butter and chocolate. It's fine.
Reese's cups. So the expedition from the Mysterious Peaks
Yes.
is this awesome Kickstarter spin where, yes, you can do the same thing if you like, or you can also grab your Esper Genesis rulebook and become the psychic heroes who are landing their starship to investigate this distress beacon that's hundreds of years old. And it's an adventure from 1 to 20 because something's going to blow up something if everybody doesn't get on board. And you can even play as a mixed crew of fantasy characters and science fiction heroes who are figuring it out. And if you haven't checked out Esper Genesis, at the very least as a bigger toolbox to play with for 5e, you're missing out. It has original races and it has an original awesome universe. And I will be up front, I'm biased because I helped play in that sandbox a little bit and wrote a couple of adventures for it. And it just makes 5e even more fun to play.
And Rich and Eric and Brian all amazing people, the entire Alligator Alley team, honestly. So, yeah, I want to read the short blurb from the Kickstarter that Rich put together for Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks because I think it really sets the tone for it. Let me see if I can do a good voiceover. I can't do it like his wife did though. A mystical force awakens within the heart of an ancient mountain ruin, its dark energy threatening to consume all within the realm of Thales. While the growing threat calls heroes to action, the mysterious power belies its true nature, a beacon whose call can only be heard from beyond the stars. And yeah, so expanded 5e universe. You can play it with your Espergenesis characters. You play it with your D&D 5e, plain Jane. I don't know. I'll say vanilla characters because vanilla is great. It's a lovely flavor. Or, like you said, you can smush them together. It is a dual genre adventure. We've got fantasy meets science fiction, and we just smush them together. There's dragons, there's lasers, there's dragons with lasers, and it's it's so much fun. I am also working on this project, along with a amazing list of other people. So we've got Justice Armand, Ed Greenwood, Latia Jaquise, Alex Kammer, Rich, of course, Greg Marks, Eric Minge, yourself, Christopher, Alan Patrick, Satine Phoenix, Kat Rambo, Jameson Stone, Elisa Teague, Tony Winslow Brill, Eric Weiner, and Travis Woodall. Last name alphabetical order. I was like, what kind of order was that? um, and so yeah, it is a full book. I spent I don't know, a large portion of my Gamehole Con standing at the Alligator Alley booth, talking excitedly to people about it. And I could talk to you for 20, 30 more minutes here about it, but we have so much more to talk about. But long story short, our bias aside, you've heard the list of people. You've heard, you know, dragons with lasers. So I don't really know that you need to hear more in order to convince you on this. I'll get the uh, I'll get the Kickstarter link so you can read all the cool stuff on there in the comments from everyone. But then I'll get the backer kit link and I'll get that in the show notes for anybody who's interested in that. But you have worked on a lot of other stuff, you said, with the Alligator Alley folks. So you've done some organized play stuff for them, but aside from all of that 5e stuff, you've also done a lot of work on other systems, mainly the Cypher system, right?
Yes, I
Oh,
only have one body, so I can't wear all the shirts all the time. Now,
uh,
this actually is a great little Discord. If you want to look into Cypher, go into Discord, bump into these people. They're all wonderful, very welcoming. On their general chat, they say good morning to each other. It's almost sacred sweet.
oh,
It's how the internet should be, by God.
that is super cute. So Cypher Unlimited. Let me see. You can search that one. That is a searchable Discord. So they're a discovery community. So just search that right up and you can join them. But you have 31 items published on the Drive-Through RPG, which is where your Cypher system stuff is.
And that's mostly Cypher system. There's a few things that are. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, 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 you're good. That's
Oh,
mostly
okay.
Cypher
Well,
system.
yes.
There's a few things that aren't. Um, let's take a hop back though. For a lot of
Okay.
people who watch my show who may be only into 5e, uh, they don't know what the cipher system is. We can go on about it all day, but they don't know what is the cipher system.
So if the name Monty Cook rings a bell, who worked on
I think he's got a game company, right?
get a game company called Mighty Cook Games. He put out as a Kickstarter New Moon Arrow, which was a science fantasy setting. And he wanted to do things a little differently. This was after he departed company for Wizards of the Coast when he was working on D&D Next. Cypher is the generic version. Originally, this was supposed to be like a little soft cover one shot, and that was it. Obviously, this is the revised version, and it's
Well, I mean,
different. It's bigger than
anybody who follows Money Cook knows that he has no shortage of words to share with the world. So, this is my surprise face.
So bear with me because Cypher, I have found out that when somebody's never played a role playing game, like it's their very first time, they get Cypher very quickly
Hmm.
because they have no preconceptions.
Right.
If you are a traditional, oh, I've been playing D&D and other games, this is how hit points work. This is how armor works, yada, yada, yada. You play Cypher,
And you
and
need
a
to
lot of them are just
take
like,
it.
wait, whoa, whoa, what? What again?
You just need to
Um,
take a step way back.
Way back, yes. So let's start off with kind of what the core is. I think the draw for a lot of people is it is an asymmetrical game. The
Hmm.
game master half of Cypher is a much simpler thing to manipulate and use than what it is for the players. Obviously, their goal was give toys to the players because players like toys, and make the GM's job as streamlined as possible so the GM can just kind of focus on running the adventure. It is very improv friendly if the GM can embrace Cypher's nature. Basically, the GM just has to know two numbers, which is one is the level, which is the difficulty of the monster. It serves as its armor class as well as its attack value.
Hmm.
And then there's times three, which is the number that can serve for the larger numbers you may need, like hit points and things like that. So, like a monster would be level 3 and have a 9 for 9 hit points.
Okay.
So, but then also the game kind of focuses on more of the hero being an endurance guy versus a lucky guy. Instead of trying to pile bonus points on your bonuses on your die, what you do is you have an attribute pool, actually three of them: might, speed, and intellect.
And might.
And you spend out of those point pools to make your powers happen and to make your rolls easier.
Hmm.
But the spin is when you're in combat, all of those remaining points you haven't spent are now your hit points. And I'm sure some armchair designers are already like, aha, so if I use might and I get hit points in might, well, then I've got this real quick death spiral, right? There's another thing.
Uh-oh.
Whenever you do something, if you have edge, it
Yep, there
makes
you
it
are.
cheaper. So if you have a might ability of me smash, that's 1 point, and you have an edge of 1 point, the edge cancels out the cost. So you can go me bash all day for free. So basically, what it represents is yes, you're going to do your standard stuff you're expected at that level anyway, regardless of how many hit points you have. But if you really want to do your alpha strike, do it early. And then after that, you're kind of exhausted, like you would be in combat.
All right.
So exactly.
I think
And that,
I think the
I'm sorry.
next question most people ask is, well, why is it called a cipher system? I know what a cipher
Ah,
is.
so that's a good question. Basically, one of the little other widgets in Cypher is called
Mm.
ciphers. And there are one-shot super potions slash scrolls slash grenades slash little one-shot devices. It's basically the way you write and play Cypher is a little more old school. Um, hey, there's a lot of skeletons in here, and there's something growling way in the back. Maybe you might want to think of something other than direct combat. So between using your abilities and your pools and the little one-shot
Smoke
Cypher
bomb.
things, exactly.
And we run.
Um, exactly. Your players are going to probably, whatever you throw at them, they're probably going to take it. It's more of a, or be able to, they'll overcome it. It's more of a question of how quickly they'll overcome it. And you want them to use the ciphers because that's part of the puzzle. You don't have to like make a puzzle. What they have and what they can do in their ciphers become the puzzle for them
Hmm.
to figure out what to do. And then the only thing I think I can add in is that all the roles are player facing. The
Yes.
players roll to attack and they roll to defend, and the GM sits there and plans and plots. He's got a little thing called a GM intrusion that he can bribe people with XP to go along with things that probably a GM would do anyway. Oh yes, you pick the door, but there's a guard down the hall. Yes or no with the bribing with the XP.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
And
It is yeah, and like you're saying, it's a great system. And it is, yeah, it's, I mean, everything that Monte Cook wanted it to be in terms of narrative flexibility, allowing the players to have the dreaded word of agency. There's a lot of discussion over what does that even mean, but that's a whole nother show. Um, but yeah, it gives you a lot of options, and you don't have to do quite as much math, which is
That's the big thing.
yeah, which is something that is really really nice about it when you're trying to bring in a bunch of new players. Not that I don't know. I think fifth edition isn't terrible for that, but some editions of D&D, such as you know third 3.5, uh, you
And
really
3.75.
you really get your arithmetic skills going there. But
You
yeah,
know what? And basic math is not a bad thing, but some of us don't want to do it for fun. We really don't.
yeah.
So
Um,
sorry, I'm having a flashback to a Twitter discussion I had where it was basically implied, well, if you can't do basic math,
okay.
because everybody who doesn't enjoy doing basic math is less intelligent than you. You are a shining beacon of whatever.
Shining beacon of being an internet asshole.
I wasn't going to say it, but yeah.
Don't worry, I'm here for you. But yeah, so you've written a lot of stuff in the Cypher system. So does that mean you've written a lot of Numenera stuff, or you?
So community content stuff.
Yeah.
Numenera, just like we can't do Dragonlance in DM's Guild, we can't do Numenera. There's also a fun world called The Strange, which is a lot of dimensional hopping and pocket dimension hopping. Can't do that either.
But what you
But we
can
can
do is create your own stuff.
exactly. In fact, one of the first things I created was a thing called Cruise, which let you have group bonuses so that you didn't have to sacrifice your cipher build to fit in and do a thing. So maybe I've done this once or twice.
What?
So
It's
I'm gonna re-
true.
I'm gonna rewind for a moment and explain how I
Aww.
got into doing Cipher, because I did Cipher first before I did DM's Guild.
Yes.
Because for a while, especially with Fantasy 5e, I would do it like once or twice a year. The Brian store would have like a RPG day, and he'd be like, "Chris, can you run 5e?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Let me go back and kind of look through things. Of course, level one's
Yeah.
not that
And
difficult."
you published Cruise, so your first thing on Drive Through RPG way back in 2016, which feels weird to say that was
Ooh,
way back, but it is now.
I thought it was. I didn't think it was that. Wow, 5 years, right?
May of
Six. Yeah, wow.
yeah.
So how that happened was during my I was part of an amateur podcast, geeky lifestyle podcast called Nerd Extravaganza. We interviewed Shauna Germain, who is the co-founder of Mighty Cook Games.
Yep.
And I should mention her more often because they're both kind of equal in putting the company together. Interviewed her, and then I wanted to do kind of a live stream about 5 or 6 years too early for live
Fine.
streaming. I'm sorry, live play or
Actual play.
Actual play. Thank you, actual play. And I did Cipher with that. Wrapped it up with Shotguns and Sorcery, which is a Ken Hite pulp World War II setting, which boils down to the Nazi occultists were right and summoned the great worm serpent, which is where Big Betty exploded instead of Japan.
Shotguns and Sorcery?
Shotguns and Sorcery. It's available for Fate and Savage Worlds, and I think Champion.
And you say that's a Ken Hite thing, not a Matt Forbeck thing?
That's oh no, I'm sorry. I'm mixed matching my things. Shotguns and Sorcery is a Matt thing, which is also cool. What did they? Oh, I'm gonna have to look the name up for that. You've got the keyboard though. You're going.
I do have the keyboard going. I don't know.
Probably have
I don't.
Oh, the day after Ragnarok. I stand corrected and embarrassed. And Ken, don't kill me.
Oh.
Day after Ragnarok.
He would never.
And the reason is actually he calls it Submachine Guns and Sorcery as kind of like a mini title to that, and that's why I had my brain fart for a second.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. So I did that, and then DM Guild came out. I was like, oh. And then Mighty Cook Games said we're going to do it too, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I've been running this for a while. I get Cipher, and started there. And then actually my first thing was kind of like a playbook style thing to make it even easier to put together a character, but community content rules in it weren't really working to make it what I wanted to do. So I kind of dropped that, and then I did the cruise. I did some micro settings. Basically, the idea was here's an island you can drop anywhere in your world.
Mm-hmm.
So I had kind of a Greek fantasy world, and then I did a world where an island where it was inhabited by ghouls versus vampires versus liches. So Empire of ghouls, kind of a village of vampires, and then like 3 liches, all having 3 different cultures. And yeah, you don't want to be the person with a heartbeat or a pulse there. No, it's not a good thing.
Not unless you have some serious protection spells.
Exactly. And then I had a hobgoblin one where it was more, the spin was the hobgoblins were more Viking-ish and more they were more planners. Basically they would rotate their pillaging so they wouldn't over pillage.
Oh, so crop rotation.
Crop rotation, except for Vikings, except as hobgoblins.
I mean, what are villages if not fields of something that you're harvesting?
Exactly. Or they're harvesting it for you, and then you're just collecting it.
Yeah.
They're putting it in a silo. That's just they call it a silo. You call it a tithe chamber. There you go.
Tithe chamber. There we go. That's good. I'm just gonna have to file that one away. The village tithe chamber.
Chamber, exactly. But yeah, I want to do a spin on smarter hobgoblins, which now evidently is now more of a thing.
Oh yeah, no, of course. Just like
any. But when I did it 6 years ago, not so much.
Yeah, no. I mean, and just like any race now in whatever game, it's pretty much been established that much like actual humankind, there are smart ones, dumb ones, nice ones.
And the heroes never follow the curve.
No, that is true. And that's what makes them heroic, because they've gone above and beyond.
I mean, even when you play the gritty stuff, obviously your characters are still at some point a cut above the rest. So they were kind of always
at least
destined for that.
In some aspect. They're the ones who decided to give a single shit. That just puts them above everyone else.
Exactly.
It could be
that also cuts out all the weird arguments of 20 level commoners and how fast they get there after they've been levied through a couple of battles.
20th level commoners. I mean, they've been through some battles. Absolutely, your commoners have. But they never got any training. So
or XP because they're not player
characters. Yeah, but NPCs level up too. They totally can.
Oh yeah, if you want them to actually be worth something when they fight, if you want a reoccurring villain, they got to level up.
Yes. Definitely. That lich that you met when you were level 2 and he was level 8, he's not going to stay level 8 forever. If you wait till you're level 20 to fight him, guess what? He's also a higher level.
Which is one of the reasons why I like 5e, because we can go back to monsters being monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to level them up.
No.
You just have to change them up.
Yes. So, your mage that you used to fight, he's now an archmage.
He's an archmage and he does these things. I mean, I could use spells, but then I'd have to look spells up.
Yes. Yes. Oh, gosh. Spells. Doing away with some spells from stat blocks. The new stat block methodology makes me, as the lazy DM, whichever one you want to use, pleased. Because even when I'm playing my own characters, I'm like, this spell, I know the effect that it has. It's got a range and a spell save of some sort. Maybe a secondary spell save? I don't know. Fortunately, D&D Beyond knows. And in cases when I'm actually in person at a convention where internet is not reliable, I know where it is in the correct manual. Generally Player's Handbook, because I forget that there are spells in other books.
You just get the spell you need.
Yeah, Fireball.
And you're good. Close enough, yeah.
It's 8d6 fire. Gosh, everybody, I don't understand. What's the problem? Everybody knows this spell.
That's a
At least 8d6 fire.
but the room has to be big enough, or does it?
No,
I don't care
it,
what you said.
it doesn't. It doesn't. It goes around corners. You can also drop a meteor swarm in a room that's too small. I don't recommend dropping that until you find out if the cultists you're trying to rescue are in that room. Whoops.
Good advice. Good advice.
Sorry to my party who really wanted to rescue those people, and I was just like, I have a problem-solving thing and problem-creating thing all in one, dual purpose.
We're just even. We're even. It's just the problem has changed. That's all.
I killed the bad cultist and the good cultist. One fell swoop. And 2 of my party members. They didn't tell me they took off their ring of fire protection.
This is why you need good communication in your team. Just saying. Just saying.
That sounds like a lot of work. But yeah, no.
That's why you switch over to Espergenesis for a little bit, and people can have walkie-talkies, and you're good.
Excuse me, I have my fantasy walkie-talkie. This is my sending stone. Hello. Hello. Must need to recalibrate it. It's only talking to Volo, who sold my stone. But yes, so you went into little micro settings. After that,
I did.
Yeah, you did. That's what you were saying. Little micro settings and things. You were working on cipher system. Done some smaller things. You've got your islands. You did some stuff in Naphtha.
Naphtha is that's the Greek setting.
Naphtha. Yes,
Naphtha.
It is indeed. Wow, that. I don't know why my brain is having trouble with that word when I look at it.
It's a type of old-fashioned oil.
Yes,
petrol.
Yes, it is.
Sorry, geek. I had to explain.
No, you're good. There are probably people who didn't know that. So you did several things there. Several products there after you did your cryptids and creatures and then some more character stuff. And then you went back for some more cryptids and creatures. Because, I mean, can we have enough cryptids?
No. And I did at old designer school. I found a bunch of stock art of monsters, collected them all, and then started making stats for those crazy monsters.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it.
That's a time-honored tradition in the RPG biz.
I think that's actually a good way to approach like design for things that are very like your player looks at it and they see a thing and they have an idea of what it is. Okay? When they look at it, what do they see? All right. They see creature. He's got blue skins. He's got 4 eyes. He's got 6 arms. Are those wings folded up on his back? Is he have pincers on the end of one of those? All right, we got to give him, abilities for that. He's got pincers on one side of the arms. He's got 4 other arms. This guy's going to be a grappler. You don't want to get caught up in him. Can he fly with those wings? I don't know. Maybe at one point in time his species could, or maybe this guy's just a little large. I don't know. Doesn't look like he's flying anywhere, thankfully.
Or it could be an intimidation tactic. They spread their wings out. Can't fly with them, but that does make them look bigger.
Like a peacock.
Though technically so is it a mating ritual or is it a defense mechanism or both?
Or both, yeah.
Is it defensive mating? I don't know.
Is the blue color trying to tell me that he's poisonous and that I shouldn't lick him? Like, what is this blue telling me? Or is it telling me that he's got electrical abilities? Everybody knows.
He's just frozen. Or he's
cold-blooded, yeah. Or is he cold-blooded?
Exactly.
Yeah. So these are all things. You've looked at the picture. You've seen these things. You got to determine. All right, these are the things that I feel like are obvious about this guy. Looking at him, let's stat him up, and now let's pick something surprising and add that on there too.
Exactly. So my big seller actually was Mortal Fantasy, which came a little later.
Yes.
And Mortal Fantasy was like a 2-way bridge product. At the time, Monty Cook Games put out kind of a not Middle Eastern, Indian style fantasy world. But it was for demigods. And they had a little column that said, hey, you could use this for regular fantasy too. And I was like, challenge accepted. And I did that. I also, and kind of like threw in, well, this is a very, setting that's non-traditional. There's no elves, there's no dwarves. Some GM or player is going to want elves or dwarves. So we're going to put them, here's ways to put them back in. And also the other bridge was, again, a lot of people are like, Izar's not get Cypher because Izar's can't find my ranger. So here's your ranger. And, because some guys just if they can have their elven ranger, they're good to go.
Yes.
I'll learn whatever rules you want, whatever. Just let me play my elven ranger and I'll be there with whatever you want. I mean, later on, Mighty Cook has also done some 5e things, Arcana of the Ancients, which very much speaks to that whole concept of, we got to sometimes as designers meet people halfway.
Mm-hmm.
And always keep in mind that there's somebody that if they can't play their ranger, they're just elven ranger, they're just going to
done.
Get lost.
Oh,
they're done, or they're dwarven berserker. Yeah,
they're like, I was really into this. There's no dwarves in it. Chuck.
Exactly. So, so that was kind of and it's been my most popular product ever since. I did 17 products, but until Mortal Fantasy came out, I wasn't really making. I was making, I'm still making. We're almost still making nickels and dimes with community content.
Mm-hmm.
But that was my real breakout, was Mortal Fantasy.
Yeah, it's a gold bestseller, which is no small feat.
Thank you.
Especially over on Drive-Thru RPG. Competition is serious. You can find everything you want on there, if you can find it.
And DM's Guild has kind of the same problem. You'll notice that my other 2 projects I have are 5-star with good reviews. I see maybe one sale a month for Rodair or the Eberron thing.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's all about like marketing and
it's like traditional marketing at this point on DM's Guild. It really is. You can throw something down into the void and you hear nothing back.
No, you have to push it yourself. DM's Guild isn't marketing for you. Drive-Thru RPG isn't marketing for you.
Oh, I hear you. But, I did the usual stuff for group features, put it out on my Twitter, put it out on my Discord, put it on my Facebook.
All right, where's your mailing list? Come on.
As a community content producer, where do I get my mailing list?
Yeah, you have to build it. If you build it,
I'm not having much luck with building it.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. If you build it, well, step 1.
Right, and also do more video stuff. I think is step 2.
How do I build it?
It doesn't hurt. Exactly.
Yeah, no. Gosh, I need to.
Whereas
I need to do a whole.
Stuff,
I need to do a whole sub-series on marketing. We'll come back to that.
Write that on your to-do list right now, before you forget. Right there.
Okay.
But I could do the same thing for my Cypher stuff, and I'll get sales.
Right, but you have an established, kind of audience there who knows that you're going to put out Cypher stuff. You've put out, like I said, not every single one of them was Cypher system, but you've got 31 products on Drive-Thru RPG versus your 3 over on DM's Guild. And not only that, like you've been producing, as we just discussed, Cypher content since 2016. So, there are people who may have bought something at some point along the way, and they're like, so they get little, you can send them notifications through Drive-Thru RPG. It has that advantage over DM's Guild. You can send emails to people who purchased your stuff. That's lovely.
I haven't found that button for I don't think it's available for the rest of the community content. I could be wrong. I could, but I haven't found it yet. So, if you do an OGL thing, that's a different story because that's a different publishing arm than doing community content.
That's true.
And I have had outliers where for Tiny D6, which is a fun for Tiny D6, I got some sales right off the bat.
Yep.
So for me, and I'm not, everybody's different. So I'm not saying that my word is law. My impression is the reality for everybody. But, finding smaller audiences to serve can get you more regular but smaller revenues. But drive through RPG, I think, is more akin to kind of like traditional publishing, a little bit of a lotto now, that you can get some stuff, you can get it, but it's harder to be found. But you might have that one, that one piece that just breaks through, and then boom. I mean, uh, I can't remember my friend's name off the top of my head, or my acquaintance's name off the top of my head, but Ancestries for
Yes.
5e. Yeah, I mean, that was the first time PDF that the Arcanist Press did, and it blew through the roof because it was the right thing at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
So they won their lotto. So, and I'm just saying, at this point, DM Guild is definitely a different beast than doing community content for everybody else. And I'm going to digress for a second, tangent.
Yeah.
In the frustration that, game designers, and because game designers are also writers, we're invisible. You put that byline and nobody reads what's the word behind the word by. And you could have, I could be a thousandaire on, community content for other companies. But if I try to go to a con and say, hey, I would like to talk about community content stuff on your community content panel, do you do 5e? No. We're full already. We're full. We're good. Just because it's not 5e doesn't mean I don't have some good knowledge or good advice.
Right. That's true.
So, but yeah, it's just a frustration I have that if it's not D&D, of course, this is kind of for the whole community, right? Whole industry. If it's not D&D, you're invisible, or it's kind of a cycle of being invisible, small potatoes, invisible sort of thing. So I got that off my chest.
We'll say one thing you've got going for you over on the Cypher System Creator Program.
Yes.
Pop this up so everyone else can see. You are still number 2 on the hottest community titles with Mortal Fantasy.
Thank you. If you keep going on, you'll find some of my other titles are there. Usually in the top 20, I've got 3 or 4 or 5.
All right. Well, I've only got 1 through 6 on the screen for everyone because that made it a good size screen snip. But yeah, so I mean that's one of the things, obviously, is,
and it's consistently up there in that top 10.
Finding your way onto one of those ribbons and figuring out how to stay there. Because if you're on a ribbon, people see it. People click it. People click it. Theoretically, they might buy it. You've got another one on the ribbon at number 15, Samora. You might have more on here, but I don't recognize them all by their cover. So, but that is the thing with these smaller community content programs, is like you're saying, you have to figure out like what's needed, what's the niche, what's the so. Obviously you're doing a lot of Cypher System stuff. You're getting more into 5e stuff. How do you decide, like, what do you want to publish next? What do you want to create next? You're staring at a blank screen. What?
Well, I just went through this process.
Yeah.
I noticed my sales were slowing down. And as we all know, since this is the designer's den, you publish or you die.
Or you get a second job, or third, whatever.
Yeah, our day job. I already have a day job. This is my retirement plan, pretty much. I was invited to be one of the first 3 community content PDFs for the Green Own and Age system, which was a Green Own an ageified version of the Changing Seasons adventure I did for Cypher.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to keep doing all my ums here. I decided before I would get into doing the Mysterious Peaks,
yeah,
because that's coming up. Yes. Also, Alligator Alley Entertainment has asked me to do a few more things for Forbidden Library.
Yes, which was fun.
Thank you. So I decided I'm going to do another sequel, well, not even a sequel, but in the same world as Changing Seasons, but do it for Age as well as Cypher, because both companies, their community content guidelines allow for an IP. So while the fluff in the adventure setup is all going to be the same, of course, the stats in one PDF is going to be for Age, the other one's going to be for Cypher.
Yeah, and that really allows you to kind of double dip with you're only doing 1.5 work for 2 things.
Exactly.
managed to kind of cut that down a little bit, which I think is a, kind of a good idea. Obviously
I
you'll,
even have it branded a little bit.
yeah.
It's the Emperor's Road, which is kind of a point of light setting. There's this road that goes across the continent. Every little cobblestone on the road has a glyph in it. And when you're on the road, you only have to worry about normal dangers like bandits and warlords versus
Oh,
supernatural creatures. So if you literally get off the road, you're starting to take your chances. The farther you get away, weird and supernatural stuff is going to happen to you. So it's kind of my little other setting. Instead of dropping islands in an ocean, we're having adventures by the road.
okay. Yeah,
And it's Emperor with an X. So
roadside adventures. I like that.
exactly.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, we are unfortunately coming to the end of our time. I know, I know. We're like we've already gonna have a whole separate show about marketing. It's fine. Uh, so I do want to thank you again for taking the time today to come on and chat. Um, share some of your experiences with everyone.
Thank you.
Do you have any uh, ongoing or upcoming projects that you want to share with everyone very quickly before we go? If not, do you want to just tell everyone where they can find you online, where they can find your stuff, any conventions you might be going to, where they could play games online with you, any of that relevant information that your old and potentially, hopefully, new fans might want to know?
So that's a good question. I've been a bad boy. I should have that list up right in front of me. And I don't. What am I doing?
I
Give me a
know.
second.
Same thing.
Okay.
Same thing I always do at the end of my show. Yeah, I'm having guests. I have guests coming up. Yes, they are guests. Which is what I'm going to tell
So
you in a second, everybody.
ooh.
I have guests.
So for Twitter, I'm at Chris R. Negelein, which is Negelein.
Which is directly below his face and has been the whole time.
This is true. And then Patreon, my Patreon / Ganza Gaming. Ganza Gaming is my kind of my handle for my Cypher stuff. Ganza Gaming also for Ko-Fi. And then my blog is thebrightcave.com. Oh, my blog needs more love, needs a lot more love. And I also probably will have actually, if I remember right, I've got a Ganza Gaming YouTube, which has those actual plays from Cypher, has one or two little GMing bits. And I'm going to try, knock on wood, this year to do a few more, 10, 15-minute things that I'll probably end up trying to also turn into a little podcast. We'll see how those go.
Yeah, and Ganza Gaming, for everyone who didn't catch that, is Ganza, Ganza. Since that is not on screen anywhere. But yeah, definitely check all those things out. I'll get those links in the show notes as well. And if you want to see Christopher Robin at conventions, you gonna be at Winter Fantasy?
No. With everything going on, I'm
That's
hoping
okay.
to do.
That's okay.
I'm hoping to do, and no promises, Origins, Gen Con, and Game Hall. Definitely Game Hall.
Okay.
This Game Hall is kind of like it's an up and coming. It's about the right size. You can get and hang out, talk to the fans. Gen Con is great, but
Gen Con is a lot.
Is a lot, and there's still who knows where we're going to be with all the COVID stuff.
Yep. No, these are projected plans, everybody.
Exactly. And I'm going to put a stake in the ground because my day job is nurse.
Yeah.
Please get vaccinated. Please wear a mask. And here's the secret: masks are not for you; they're for everyone around you. So everyone needs them to wear them for them to be the most effective.
And you can order your COVID test online and do them at home.
That one's a friend of mine. I've used them already.
So there's no reason not to get tested.
Exactly.
If you think
we're on the same page here.
If you think you have got my COVID test where I can reach it, I'm gonna
just this morning.
I'm gonna be traveling soon. So
right.
As I'm going to be traveling, when I get back, I want to make sure that test myself, because then I plan to be around my family for the holidays, and I don't want to expose anyone there, especially my mother. She's high risk. So, it's the responsible thing to do.
You are a beautiful and wonderful daughter.
That, and I want my friends who work in the medical industry to be able to just worry about the normal stresses of life and jobs.
Right?
So let's get out of this pandemic one day. And if you want to come over here and say we're in a post-pandemic world right now, Christopher and I will both fisticuffs. We'll find a
There's
we'll
not a post yet.
we'll meet you
It's
in
not
the we'll
post.
meet you in the virtual parking lot for some Rock'em Sock'em robots. Uh, but yeah, no. That said, thank you again so much for coming on today. This has been great. I'll see you at one of those shows, I'm sure. We'll figure that out. Everyone else, definitely hit up those links, check out the stuff. Get your little paws on Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks if you haven't already. Don't be the one to miss out on that. Otherwise, you'll have to go find it at your friendly local gaming store in person. Oh, the horror. No, I'm just kidding. That would also be cool. So, however you gotta do it. As always, you can find me online under my name on all of the things now. It's like a month later and I'm still raving about it. I'm on YouTube now at Jenny Loveday. I'm on all of the platforms under the same name. I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud of Google for finally getting it together. Um, they've also mailed me my phone finally. Um, I'll have my phone by the time this airs. But yeah. I have some exciting guests coming up the rest of the month, January. I don't have that list in front of me. I haven't actually finished confirming them. I've got a whole list of maybes for January, so I don't want to tell you any other names right now, but it's fine. They'll be on the show. Right now it's just, oh, schedules. And I'm like, yeah, I understand. Let's see, this is the beginning of January. So if you want to find me in person, you'll be able to do that next month in Fort Wayne, Indiana. While you're hearing this, it'll still be the beginning of January and therefore not too late for you to decide if you want to come hang out with us in beautiful, frigid, snowy Fort Wayne, Indiana, February 2nd through 6th for Baldman Games Winter Fantasy. I will be there, of course. Baldman Games community chair, social media coordinator, putting on lots of fun activities for the community, which you could still be part of. Probably can't sign up to run games anymore by this time, but you can sign up to play games, which is just as much fun. Some people would argue that it's more fun. They can argue that if they want. It's fine. You would argue that it's more fun to play games?
No, I just want to jump in that it's highly likely that Richard and Eric may be at Winter Fantasy.
Richard. Sorry.
Doing Aspergenesis. So if they are, check it out.
They will be there. And I have never heard anybody call him Richard in my life.
Sorry.
He just doesn't look like a Richard. No, it's just Rich. Yeah, they'll be there doing some Aspergenesis. We'll have all kinds of stuff. We might be doing an Aspergenesis interactive event. No promises. I'm not Rich. I can't make any promises like that. Don't get mad at Rich either if they're not doing that. It's mine. You can be mad at me. It's cool. But yeah, I could ramble for another 20 minutes, but I shan't. You all have places to be, and that is going to be it for this episode of The Designer's Den. Until next time, everybody. Bye.